Today I stand here with the dream of building a new Nepal, with a fire of hope and passion burning within me. But my heart is heavy because this dream seems to be slipping away. Rise and shines, futures of this upcoming imperial empire. I, Oshkar Raut, the head boy of this everlasting imperial institute, Holy Well English Secondary School, welcomes you with open arms to our 24th annual program. I put myself before you this moment to shed light within your consciousness by piercing the dark nimbus that circles above you. I am present here today to immortalize a monumental change in the course of history. Nepal, our mother, this country gave us birth, nurtured us. But what did it ask in return? Just our honesty, our hard work, our contribution. But what are we doing? We are bounded by the chains of unemployment, fleeing abroad in search of opportunities. We are trapped by the selfish games of political parties. Corruption has woven a web that is extinguishing the light of our futures. Youth, rise! We are the torch bearers of change. If you do not raise our voices, who will? If you do not raise our voices, who will? If you do not build this nation, who will? We are the fire that will burn away the darkness. We are the storm that will sweep away injustice and bring prosperity. Our ancestors shed their blood to give us this nation. We cannot sell it. We cannot lose it. We are the fire. We will burn every despair away. Now we must decide. Will we drown in the darkness of despair or rise as the sun of hope? Will we change the fate of this nation or will we let it remain in shackles? King Birendra once said, even if I die, shall my country live on? All the youths, carry these words in your heart and engrave a monument of change in the course of history. Nepal is ours and its future is in our hands. Jai you!
Urgent strings of streets, youth, and protests. Hushed but urgent. Imagine a generation born into the age of smartphones, global connectivity, and endless possibilities, yet trapped in a system that refuses to see them, refuses to hear them, and refuses to give them a future. In the shadow of the Himalayas, where the world sees peace, temples, and Everest's eternal snow, another story is unfolding. A story not told in tourist brochures, a story silenced in mainstream media, a story that has now erupted into the streets of Kathmandu, Pokhara, Lalitpur, echoing across valleys, mountains, and beyond. This is Nepal's Gen Z revolution, and tonight we're pulling back the curtain to reveal what's really happening. Stay with me until the end, because once you hear the voices of Nepal's youth, you'll understand why this is no longer just their struggle. It's a warning and an inspiration to the world. For decades, Nepal has carried the scars of political instability, monarchy, Maoist insurgency, endless coalition governments. The youth of today, the so-called Gen Z of Nepal, were promised something better. They were told democracy will give you opportunity, education will give you dignity, and hard work will give you a future. But instead they inherited corruption. They inherited nepotism. They inherited unemployment. And above all, they inherited broken promises. Nepal's population is incredibly young, over 40% under the age of 25. That's not just a statistic, that's the beating heart of a country. But imagine being young in Nepal today. You graduate top of your class, only to discover jobs don't exist without bribes or political connections. You dream of staying in your country, but are forced to take low-wage jobs in Qatar, Dubai, or Malaysia just to survive. You scroll on your phone and see youth in other countries shaping their futures, while your leaders enrich themselves and tell you to wait. How long can a generation wait before it erupts? Revolutions are never born in a day. They are the result of years of silent suffering. For Nepal's Gen Z, frustration turned into anger, and anger turned into action. The triggers were everywhere. Corruption was the first. The word NepoKids went viral. political dynasties passing power like family heirlooms, blocking ordinary people from opportunity. Unemployment and brain drain followed. Thousands of young Nepalis leaving every month, forced into labor abroad while their degrees gathered dust. A cost of living crisis piled on, rising food, rent, and fuel prices crushing families already struggling. And at the center of it all was the digital awakening. Unlike their parents, this generation had seen the world. Through YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, they understood what accountability looked like. They knew what governments elsewhere were capable of, and they looked at their own leaders and saw failure, excuses, and betrayal. It was no single spark, it was a fire waiting to catch. And once it did, it spread like wildfire. This time, the revolution didn't start in smoky backrooms or whispered gatherings. It started online. TikTok became a weapon. Memes mocking corrupt leaders spread like fire. Instagram reels turned chants into viral rallying cries. Twitter hashtags like #Nepal Uprising and Youth for Change forced international audiences to pay attention. A 15-second TikTok of protesters dancing turned into a symbol of defiance. A live stream of police charging into a crowd went viral, raw and unfiltered. These clips were more than entertainment. They were evidence, proof, a digital archive of injustice. This generation knows when mainstream media is silent, their smartphones will scream the truth. And the government knew it too, which is why the crackdown came fast. Internet shutdowns, social media bans, police in riot gear flooding protest sites, students and activists dragged into vans, detained for speaking out. Traditional media either silenced or complicit. New laws proposed to further restrict freedom of expression. The goal was clear: to cut off the youth from one another, to suffocate the movement by blinding it, deafening it, and isolating it. But it backfired, because every arrest became a viral story. Every blackout became proof of corruption. Every baton raised only deepened the anger and the resolve. Behind the hashtags are real people, and their stories pierce through the noise. A 23-year-old graduate confessed, "I studied for years, got my degree, and yet here I am, jobless. My friends left for Malaysia. I don't want to leave. I love my country, but what choice do I have?" A young woman, barely 20, shouted from the front lines, "They shut down the internet to silence us, but you cannot shut down our hearts. If we don't fight now, our children will fight the same battle. Enough is enough." A first-time protester whispered, "I was never political. I never cared, but this is about survival. If I don't speak now, I may never get another chance." These are not just isolated voices. They are the heartbeat of an entire generation. Their stories are raw, their courage unshakable, and their demand simple: a chance at a future worth fighting for. If this revolution fails, Nepal risks losing an entire generation. More brain drain, more corruption, more instability. A nation drained of its brightest minds, hollowed out by despair. But if it succeeds, Nepal could transform. A country where young people are not forced to flee. A government that serves its people, not its families. A future written by those who will actually live it. This is not just Nepal's story. From Hong Kong to Nigeria, from Chile to the United States, Gen Z is rising. Their tools, the internet, creativity, and raw courage. Their message: we refuse to inherit broken systems. Nepal's struggle is a chapter in this global awakening. And what happens in Kathmandu could echo across continents. The road ahead is dangerous. The government may listen, or it may tighten its grip. The world may amplify Nepal's unheard cry, or look away. But one thing is certain: Nepal's Gen Z has awakened. And once a generation finds its voice, it cannot be silenced again. This is not just their fight. This is a mirror held up to all of us. Because the question Nepal's youth are asking: why should we accept corruption? Why should we stay silent? Why shouldn't we demand a better future? Is a question every young person in every country must ask. If this story moved you, share it, spread it, amplify it. The world must not ignore Nepal's unheard cry. Like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into global struggles, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Because revolutions don't just happen in history books, they're happening right now, in real time. And Nepal's Gen Z, they're not waiting for permission. They're taking their future back. Here's the real question: what happens next? Because history teaches us something powerful. Revolutions are never neat. They are messy, unpredictable, full of sacrifice, and often met with betrayal. But they are also unstoppable, once the people, especially the young, refuse to bow down. In Nepal, that moment has arrived. Right now, across Kathmandu's narrow streets, posters are going up. Graffiti scrawled on walls reads, "No future without us." At night, candlelight vigils turn into chants. Chants turn into marches, and marches turn into waves of defiance that no police barricade can fully contain. And yet, there is fear. Fear that history will repeat itself. Fear that another political bargain, another compromise behind closed doors will smother this uprising. Because Nepalis know too well, promises are easy, but betrayal is cheaper. So the youth are asking the world, and maybe even asking you watching this right now, will you listen? Will you amplify? Or will you let silence bury them again? The government is betting on silence. They believe internet shutdowns can erase digital footprints, that arrests can frighten the bold, that censorship can strangle the truth. But what they don't understand is that this generation has grown up in the age of the screenshot, the VPN, the whisper that travels faster than the ban. For every post they delete, 10 more appear. For every voice they silence, 20 rise louder. And here's the twist few outside Nepal realize. This isn't just politics, it's survival. When jobs don't exist, when food prices soar, when futures are stolen, revolution isn't a choice, it's the only option left. One young protester told me, if they think we are weak, they've misunderstood us. We are tired, and tired people are dangerous because we have nothing left to lose. That line haunts me, because it's true. The most dangerous people in the world are those who have been pushed to the edge, and Nepal's Gen Z has been standing on that edge for far too long. Now imagine this. What if their cry isn't just for Nepal? What if their cry is a spark meant to ignite something far bigger? What if their courage becomes the blueprint for youth everywhere, trapped in broken systems? Think about it. Youth in Africa are rising against corruption. Youth in Latin America are demanding fair governance. Youth in the Middle East are refusing to be silenced. Everywhere, the young are looking at the old order and saying, enough. Nepal might be small, but its youth are showing the world something enormous, that courage is contagious, that silence is not an option, that no mountain, no matter how high, can cage the human spirit. The unanswered question is this: how far are they willing to go? Will they endure the arrests, the blackouts, the violence? Will their leaders double down or finally break the cycle and listen? And maybe the biggest question of all, what happens if the world finally pays attention? Because right now, as you listen to this, Nepal's streets are alive with possibility. Fear and hope mix like fire and oxygen. One wrong move and it all collapses. One right move and Nepal writes a new chapter in history. So here's where curiosity turns into responsibility. Do we just watch from a distance, scroll past their struggle, shake our heads and say, that's tragic? Or do we share, amplify, and let their unheard cry echo louder until it cannot be ignored? This story isn't over, it's only beginning. And the ending? That depends not only on them, but on us. Ask yourself, what would you do if your future was stolen? Would you fight? Would you flee? Or would you stay silent? Nepal's Gen Z has made their choice, and now the world is watching.